Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our grades 10 through 12 program of studies night, our inaugural event here. Very excited to see our numbers. I can't see all of you, but I see we do have almost 500 people on the call tonight. So very exciting. I'm glad that the news got out. And start with introductions. My name is Jessica Smedley, and I am the Director of School Counseling for West Windsor-Plainsboro Schools. I've been in the district a short time, but very excited to be here with all of you. Excited to have the opportunity to have FaceTime with more of our families. Tonight's event is really the brainchild of some of the counselors giving feedback, and also Dr. Gould, who was in this position before, really noticing that it's hard to talk about everything our high schools have to offer, and for all of you to absorb all of that information when especially if you're a first-time high school parent. If you're just starting with 8th grade and or your first child, it's hard to remember. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to re-welcome you back, maybe reorient you, talk to you about some hot topics, and also get some exposure to the exciting courses we have for upperclassmen in our high schools, as well as remind you about the scheduling process. So we'll go through that. So we have our supervisors here tonight. We also have a selection of counselors from both of our high schools. So excited to see they are going to be doing some Q&A and also some myth debunking. So sit back and relax, and we will get started. We are actually just one housekeeping thing, two actually. One, this is being recorded, so within the next few days, we will get this up. It'll be available as a link in the program of studies section of the website, which is within the counseling department. So departments, counseling, high school counseling, program of studies, in that order to find it on the website. We will also have it on our district YouTube channel, which I think might be easier for some people if you're using the app or can find it there. So this will also have a transcript, or closed captioning is turned on our recording tonight, so you'll be able to see that in the video. And we will also post our slide deck separately. So I'm sure that many of you would like to hear from us again, but so you don't have to watch the entire video. If you're looking for a certain piece of information, you can access the Google Slides. We will post those as well. Same area, program of studies on the website. Second thing is we do have the Q&A enabled on our webinar tonight. We are going to be monitoring that, but probably not in most cases answering as we go along. So I encourage you, a lot of your questions, I think we will be able to answer both in the content of the presentation, as well as the counselors doing FAQs and handling some of that Q&A. So we will take a look at that as we go along, but we're not going to stop and answer questions along the way. So, and we always encourage this, often sparks conversation. These kinds of nights often sparks conversation at home. If you have questions, concerns about something you heard tonight, always encourage you, your child's school counselor is there to answer questions. We are here, just a reminder, I do this, it's not on a slide, but just a reminder, we are here to partner with you. We are all on the team to help each one of your children through high school and plan for post-secondary success. So please don't hesitate to reach out with questions. And with that, we will get started. Okay. So tonight we are going to review graduation requirements. Always good to take a look. And one of the features, or one of the things that we always make sure we do every year, and one of the main activities for high school counselors to check every year, it is an ongoing process of checking those transcripts to make sure students are meeting all graduation requirements, that they are talking about changes to a student's 4-year plan, what maybe has changed. And that is happening in the scheduling process, which we'll also go over timelines for the spring, things to be on the lookout for. And then we'll get to hear some highlights from all of our departments, some new and exciting courses, new information, and just make sure that you don't have any questions. Okay, so several of you maybe even have this memorized, and certainly, but I think it's worth repeating that these are our minimum graduation requirements. So students do have choice in high school, as you know, they get to choose their elective, and really everything beyond in any across any subject area that goes beyond these minimum requirements is considered an elective. So sometimes we get caught up in nomenclature and we say, well, I already took my elective in visual and performing arts. But so we see on this chart here or on this slide, there is a 5 credit minimum of visual and performing arts and career and technical education. It certainly is not a maximum of that. So just keep that in mind. So we do have the 4 year requirement in English language arts, 3 years of math, although I will tell you in both math and science with a 3 year requirement, it is highly popular and nearly all of our students take a 4th year in one or both of these areas. So something to take a look at. We certainly recommend 4 years of math, staying connected to the math curriculum all the way through high school, particularly for students who are planning to go to college or university. We have a 3 year graduation requirement in social studies, which consists of 1 year of world history, which is taken in ninth grade, and 2 years of US history or American studies. 2 years of the same world language, and we'll hear more about your options for that. Moving forward, 5 credits or 1 year of visual and performing arts, 1 year, 5 credits of career technical ed, the standalone course, 1 semester or half a year of financial literacy, 4 years of health and phys ed, which is 3.25 credits or 3 marking periods of phys ed, 1 marking period of health. And then the state graduation assessment is also a graduation requirement. Okay, just to remind you of our course selection process, tomorrow, I believe in the morning, but it might be the afternoon, you're going to get an email from us, from School Messenger, that details kind of the course selection process, choosing electives. It comes embedded in that document, directions for selecting electives in the parent portal. If it's something you're new to our district and you haven't done, or maybe it's something you do once a year, you need to brush up on it. The instructions are listed right there in the letter. That will also restate all of this timeline and all of this information. So beginning on Wednesday, February 7th, students, and that will be after school, students can begin selecting electives in the parent portal. So students will be able to make those selections. They also will be able to see their courses for next year. So what's rolled over when you've taken this year, you can see what the next course in progression is going to be. So that will be available at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. And then throughout the next 4 to 5 weeks, each high school counselor will be meeting individually with all of their students to review those course requests and finalize them. So the time is now, and it's timely we're having this event tonight. So again, spark the conversation. You can take a little bit of time to get those selections in, but it does makes for a more streamlined conversation when the student meets with their counselor, because unfortunately with their caseloads as high as they are, we don't have, they have to move through that pretty quickly. It's a lot of students to get through in the next several weeks. So it's helpful if there's at least, if they have questions, absolutely counselors can answer those questions in those meetings, but it's nice that they come with a list of questions prepared if they know what they want to review and how they feel about the courses that they selected to take. And we do ask for an elective first choice and second choice, just in the case that something can't be staffed or a course doesn't run or there aren't enough seats in the class. So we do our staffing. The reason we start thinking about next year so early in the school year, what feels early in the school year, that we're already thinking well into next year, is that we do our staffing and our sectioning, meaning the supervisors decide based on our facilities and our teaching staff that we have, how many sections of each course we can offer in each of our schools. And that is driven by student choice. So it's vital that students tell us what they want to take, because if you tell us you want this course A in February or March, and 25 of your friends also choose that's enough students to run a course. When we end up where students decide later on, and they wait until the course change time frame, there may not be room in the course they want to go into, and they may not be able to fit it into wherever the rest of their classes. So it is important to do those conversations. There's no rush to the finish here. So I say that, like, have your those conversations, and we want to make sure that you get your choices in the portal. However, there's no doing it at 3:01 p.m. on February 7th is no different than taking the time over these next couple days. Take the weekend if you that's what your time to talk as a family, and make those selections. So it is not first come, first serve on getting the choices into the parent portal. And this is a big change, probably needs its own slide. And mark my words that you'll be hearing this over and over again, but we are going to message this. One of the big changes for our current high school students is that there will be a 2-week window. It'll be from August 1st to August 15th that students can make requests to change their elective. This is a big change from prior years, and I just want to draw attention. There are no changes to electives after that time frame. So there is no longer an opportunity to switch your elective once school starts. So again, with thinking with the end in sight of the beginning of the school year starting, that should inform those kinds of conversations that you're having about how much do you definitely want this. Are you unsure and you want to get some more information about the class before you make your choice? Those would all be things to do during these next few weeks. Okay, so one of the things that definitely came up in the 8th grade program of studies nights at both schools in probably, I would say, 25 to 30% of the overall questions were about option 2. And this is something that has a lot of myth and a lot of mystery, I think, in surrounding it, not just in West Windsor-Plainsboro, but really everywhere. So option 2, what is option 2? I think there's a myth around this is something that everybody does. That is not true, or that a student has to do, or that it, so we're going to debunk some myths here on option 2. First thing is, option 2 is optional. So option 2 is an opportunity, it was designed as an opportunity to allow students who could in no other way access a course to be able to take a course that they're interested in, or maybe doesn't fit into their schedule because of other complications, because of something else they want to take. It's essentially the state allowing us to put credit on a student's transcript for a course taken outside of our high schools. And so that is the reason I think a lot of people ask, well, why do we vet the courses? Why are there some approved providers and many not approved providers? Why do we have the rules that we have around option 2? Option 2 started quite a long time ago. I think when when online learning was first getting started, that's really when things blew up and it became it's sort of its own set of energy. And so it is optional. It is, and I'll talk on the next slide a little bit about why we might want to do that. But it certainly is something that if it's in your child's 4-year plan, or if you're wondering if it should be in your 4-year plan, that is something that I encourage you to have a conversation with the counselor. And we do want to really think about it in terms of your own, of what your child's plan is. So for many of our students, it is not something that they need to do. There's a select group of people that, it's probably a very good option, but not necessarily for credit advancement. And I'll talk about that a little on the next slide. So it's also great for completing graduation requirements if you have a scheduling conflict, like maybe there's a class that you want to take, but because we have a teacher who's shared between 2 buildings, that course is only going to be taught in the morning, one of the morning blocks, and you're signed up or you have an application in to do a program that's an AM program at Mercer County Technical Schools. That would be an example of a good time to explore option 2. And again, something that your counselor can let you know more about. So certainly that's a group of students I would recommend that if you have an application in, or if you already know your outcome, at Mercer County Technical Schools, those classes, when you're really attending two different high schools, that's a little bit of fancy footwork on each year's plan and your overall 4-year plan to get to your graduation requirements. So that's a group of people I would recommend actually that you do talk with your counselor about option 2. So what is it not? It is not something that everybody does, and it is not something that you need to do. And so one of the areas I think that, and Miss Bean is going to speak to this a little bit more when we get to the math section, but I will say I've worked in 3 districts as a director of school counseling, and 16 years in, I am still trying to debunk that you do not need to take a credit advancement math class via option 2 to be successful in college. And with that, I will tell you, colleges and universities do not care if you take an option 2 class. It is not a way to show your competitiveness amongst your peers. It will not help you in college admissions, those credit advance, taking a full class in the middle of the summer. And arguably, colleges will ignore that as a credit advancement course when they're reviewing transcripts. And in some cases, they've gone so far, and I've heard anecdotally from representatives that have been in the high schools that I've worked in, they don't really want to see that because it doesn't leave a student that many options for what they could be, or that much time, excuse me, to explore other things to be doing to really help make them a well-rounded student. Something, if you don't have any time in the day, if you're doing math 12 hours a day for 6 weeks to 8 weeks over the summer, it leaves very little time to do anything else, including sleep and eat, and have time with family. All of things that they should be doing. Another thing, option 2 causes students and their families a tremendous amount of stress. This comes from an extremely large amount of content being shoved into a short period of time. And on top of that, some of it ends up being self-paced where there's check-ins. Sometimes if it's in person, it still could be every day. And it's not really the way that we've designed how high school should be. I mean, I think as adult learners, taking accelerated courses perhaps is an option, but I think particular when we think about our 9th and 10th grade students, remember their developmental age, what they can and can't process, and what they can and can't remember. Also, in the case of credit advancement or moving to a different level, and we're taking those courses, and you can get these statistics. We do show them on the 8th grade presentation. I did not put them on here, but the statistics are definitely buyer beware. The truth is that most students who take an option 2 class don't end up passing our assessment at our WWP assessment, which is required. And so then they've put in the time, energy, effort, and money, and lost family time, lost time to do other things, and they don't end up moving to the next course anyway. So I encourage you to take a look at what the passing rates are for option 2 and really consider whether that is something that you'd like to do. And you're going to hear some from the supervisors about some alternatives, other things to be doing. And as a counselor, I mean, I have a slide on this later, which I think Mr. Riley is going to speak to, of counselors are here to talk to students about all kinds of things, not just academic planning. I mean, obviously that's a major role of a high school counselor, but if there are other things that students want to get involved in, or like, do you know of have you ever heard of a summer program that does this or that? I mean, there is Google, but counselors, we hear about a lot of exciting programs. There's great fun. You can have a tremendous experience spending your summer volunteering, maybe working, tutoring, those kinds of things. So when we take a look at, and I just like to really speak honestly to, and having watched college admissions for a very long time, 22 years in the profession, option 2 is not the way to get ahead. It is a race to nowhere, and there's lots of other opportunities that we encourage students to get involved in. So please talk to us about that as well. Okay, and with that, I am going to pass it off to Ms. Dobinson, who is going to talk to us about health and phys ed and activities.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of myself and my colleague, Mr. Jeff Riley, who is the co-supervisor of health and PE with me. I'm going to go through some of the different things that we discuss within our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade health and PE classes. The big one is 10th grade, where our students will be participating in a course on driver's ed. That's going to be their health course. And they will be taking the New Jersey Department of Motor Vehicles written test. Once they pass the test, they will be able to start there behind the wheel with a private driving instructor. Please note that West Windsor-Plainsboro does not offer behind the wheel, but we can definitely work to put you in touch with a company that would be able to help your child get those different skills that they would need in order to pass the state driving test to get their graduated license and then their full license. In addition, in 10th grade, they will also be participating in Project Adventure. This will be challenge by choice team building activities. So if you go by High School North and High School South, you see our Project Adventure courses, our climbing walls, our zip lines, all of those different activities. And this is really a great course for students to kind of step outside of their comfort zone, to try different things, to think about facing different things that might be kind of holding them back or not allowing them to move forward. And this is a great activity, a great course that our teachers teach our 10th graders. In 10th and 11th, in 11th and 12th grade, PE and health continue to build upon developing a healthy lifestyle and making positive decision-making. We talk a lot about mental health. We talk a lot about planning for the future, what it means to have a healthy lifestyle, to be active, and to take care of your whole body, not just the physical body, but the mental, emotional, social, spiritual body as well. We offer a course in sports medicine. In this course, students learn the role that medicine plays in athletics and is taught by two of our certified athletic trainers. And this is a great way for students to determine whether or not they want to go into a field of medicine that may put them more in line with athletics. And they get to, learn different skills that our athletic trainers utilize on a day-to-day basis with our sports teams. A new course that's coming out to High School North this year is going to be our Unified Physical Education class. In this course, our students are going to be fully immersed with students of differing needs and abilities. It's designed to promote inclusion with the intent of carrying over into the greater school community while engaging in physical activity. So they will be working with our different special ed programs and building those different skills. This is also a great place for students to kind of explore different options that they may want to go into education later on in life after graduation. And this will be a one-semester course, and it will be offered only at High School North for the time being. There will be an application process and more information will be coming out about that. Next slide, please. So I also have the pleasure of talking about our athletic program here at West Windsor-Plainsboro. We are members of the Colonial Valley Conference and the Mercer County Tournament Association. And we are also a member school of the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association. One of the big questions that Mr. Riley and I get are, why should students participate in athletics? And, looking at it from our point of view, athletics provide students with a lot of different skills that they may not necessarily get within the typical traditional classroom environments. We see studies through the National Federation of High School that show that students who participate in athletics typically see greater success in the classroom. They learn different skills such as time management, teamwork, leadership, all of these different skills that colleges and post-high school employment opportunities are really looking for. It creates a sense of belonging, and being part of something positive. It allows them to develop lifelong social connections with friends. And it's just a great way to be involved within the overall school community. Next slide, please. We do offer a variety of athletic programs within our athletic department, ranging, they start as early as mid-August for our fall sports and go until early November. Our winter sports start in late November and go to late February, and that's the season that we are currently in. And then our spring sports season starts in early March and goes until late May. I am pleased to discuss our new cricket program that we will be starting in the spring of 2024. This is going to be a co-ed cricket program. You've received information from myself and Mr. Riley regarding this and registration being open for this. But it is important to note that this program is not part of the New Jersey Interscholastic Athletic Association. It is not a sanctioned sport within the state, but we are, dipping our toes into the cricket water, and we're really excited to offer this opportunity for our students. Lastly, I understand that parents and caregivers get a lot of emails over the course of the year and a course of the day sometimes. Anything that's coming out from the athletic department in regards to registration, it's really important that everyone, really looks at those dates, because those dates are decided upon to be able to get your student able to play the first day. So when we set out those registration dates and we explain dates for when physicals need to be in, it's really important to make sure that you're taking note of those dates. In addition, one thing that's different from our middle school athletic program is that we do have practices on Saturdays and during days off and winter break and spring break. And one of the things that we strive to teach within our athletic program is the concept of commitment and being a team player. So we really encourage you to, when you get the registration paper that comes out or registration notice of these are the dates for registration for the entire year, that you take note of those different dates and try to plan to the best of your abilities, vacations and different things like that, because all of our team sports will be running during those times off and different things like that. Ms. Smedley already, referenced the importance of being involved in an extracurricular activity, whether it's athletics or not. I really just encourage your student to find what gives them joy and what makes them happy, because, high school can be an incredibly a time with incredible stress at times, and having that outlet, having the ability to make those social connections, to be involved, to take a break from the academics is very important. I always say that, the athletics is where I would love to see all of our students, but I understand that each student has different passions, but really encourage your student to get involved throughout the variety of activities that we have to offer at High School North and High School South. And I am going to pass it on to Miss Bean for math.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Andrew Bean. I'm the supervisor of mathematics, grades 6 through 12, and I'm going to talk to you about our math program. So the next slide has the basics. Everyone at WWP takes 1 year of Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. The year or grade that you may take that varies. Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry are our high school graduation requirements. Some of our students take them in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Some students take them in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. It's all about when you're ready on your math journey. After Geometry, there are all kinds of choices. A lot of our students take pre-calculus so that they can move into the calculuses. That's a really good track for students who are interested in a STEM career. That would be what they would want to do. a lot of our students that want to reinforce their math skills before they go to college and strengthen them up and build a firmer foundation take algebra, trigonometry, and then usually some kind of statistics. Some kids go right from geometry to statistics and then to AP statistics. Statistics is a growing field. Data science is number one growing field in the United States, and lots of colleges are now requiring statistics to be taken at college. So it's really great to get a head start on that and learn it in high school. Again, if you're going to be any kind of health major, doctor, nurse, pharmacist, you need to understand how statistics work for all the studies and everything, journalism, reporting on statistics. So it's a really wide open field that I do recommend for everyone. On the next slide, you'll see some traditional math sequences. Now, I know this is really small. Oh, go back. And hard to read. And again, it's really hard to read. There it is. It is on the district website as part of this presentation, which is on the district website. And also under departments mathematics, there's program overview, and you will see slides where this is broken down, one slide for each sequence, and then this chart at the end. So you can take a look at it. And you'll see that most kids take Algebra 1 in 8th grade. It is taught as a multi-level course, followed by Algebra 2 in 9th grade, again, taught together in the same room as a multi-level course. And you may think to yourself, well, what if I want my child to take geometry in 9th grade? Should I skip that in the summer? And you heard Miss Smedley say, absolutely not. Your foundation in algebra is your number one indicator of success in higher level math. So, of course, shortchanging your learning in math would be a terrible idea. It's almost impossible to learn 40 weeks of math at the same level, depth, and intensity in 6 weeks of a summer course. So if it's hard to learn 5 credits of math in a summer, what can you do? I have a great idea for you on the next slide. You can join our summer math program. We offer 3 summer math courses: Introduction to Data Science, Introduction to Discrete Math, and Discrete Math Part 2. I mean, look at those faces. That's what you want to see your kids doing in the summer, working together, learning math. These are math courses that are not part of the traditional math program. When you take these 2.5 credit courses in the summer, what you are saying to colleges is not, I want to skip and get ahead. I want a shortcut to calculus. But what you're saying is, my child is loving math. My child wants to learn more math. My child wants to go above and beyond the requirements, not rush through them. So I totally recommend Intro to Data Science, Intro to Discrete Math, or Discrete Math Part 2 as part of our WWP program. There's some facts on the next slide about them so you can make the decision. First of all, the course meets July 8th through August 2nd from 8:30 to 11:30 every day at High School South. And attendance is crucial because to get those 2.5 WWP credits, you need to put 60 hours in, and we did not build in extra time because we want you to have a little time after school before July 8th to kind of relax in the summer. And we want you to be able to do something at the end of August. This is great because you don't have an option 2 exam. You don't have a big exam at the end of the course. So it's a lot less stressful than, say, taking an option 2 and coming in the middle to the end of August for a big exam. You sign up through community education, and they cost about $500. That's a steal, but spaces are limited. Please note that you would take these courses in place of an option 2, not in addition to an option 2. Because if I'm standing here telling you you can't learn 5 credits of math in a summer, you really can't learn 7.5 credits of math in a summer. So again, consider our summer math courses because that really sends the message that learning is important to you, that going above and beyond and further than the traditional sequence shows your child's interest and passion. It's a great deal, and it's a lot less stress, and it counts towards your GPA, which option 2 does not. So that's our math sequence in a nutshell. You can always email me if you have questions. But the bottom line is, if you want to know what course next year is best for your child, email your child's teacher. They look at their math work every day. They know exactly what the best placement will be. I wish all of you a good night, and we're going to turn it over to Mr. Steck, Dr. Steck.
Thank you, Mrs. Bean. It's great being on this call with you, everyone. So thank you for taking the time. I'm Dr. Richard Steck. I'm the supervisor of science. I'll talk to you about some very important decisions you're going to be making, especially for your children now that they're in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Next slide, please. Okay, the mission of our science department is on this post. It's also on every district curriculum. So you'll be able to see exactly what our focus is, our alignment with the district's goals, as well as our goal really is to provide your child with a robust program of studies and options to choose from as they integrate science with 21st century skills and competencies, and they learn about themselves and what's best for them. So cultivating an inclusive and diverse community where every student's passion becomes their own mission and vision. So now they begin to own that idea for themselves. Next slide, please. So consider this as you decide. So message to students who are on this call, make absolutely certain you're pursuing your passion. Consult with family, especially your parents. They are a rich source of role models and motivation, but also talk with your friends, your counselors, your fellow administrators. And honestly, the choice is about your life and what you want to do with it most. And everyone benefits from your success. So 10 years from now, you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm really glad I made that decision. So you have a choice. Someone told me a very long time ago, be your own son or you will forever live in the shadow of others. So make this about you. Make this about what you want to do most, and you will be the best of your own success. Next slide, please. Okay, so science courses. Sample high school course sequences below. This is very typical. I always advocate, as Ms. Smedley said earlier, that most students are going to be taking 4 years of high school science if you intend to major in science or engineering at a college of your choice, but also just to become a more well-rounded scientific thinker. It's really important that at least the foundation sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, and then the AP or electives of your choice are chosen wisely. So consult with your school counselor. Reach out to me. I'm always ready for a great conversation about how we can plan your child's education and work together in partnership for their success. Next slide, please. Thank you. There are core courses and there are prerequisites. I want to talk about the prereqs for a minute. You could read the slide carefully and go through the details, but the mathematical prerequisites, as Mrs. Bean had talked about, really begins to train your mind. And in order to grapple with the abstract nature of science, students take the math prerequisites to give them a mathematical background to do so, but also in plain English, it takes their brain to the gym. They become stronger thinkers. They become stronger with their reasoning skills. They can ask better questions, design solutions, and analyze and interpret data on a much more sophisticated level, which will again help them to be the scientist or engineer that they wish to be, working with their teachers, working with their counselors to do so. But also, it's really, really important that they have the full year experience with these foundation courses. Okay, so please do not option 2 chemistry honors, do not option 2 physics honors, do not option 2 biology honors or college prep level courses. It's really important that if your child wishes to go into, for example, pre-med or pre-dent or pre-vet, that they take AP chemistry before they take AP biology, but yet they've availed themselves of the full year foundation course so that they can measure up and strengthen their ability and their reasoning skills. Our courses are designed as inquiry-based. That means that we'll be making observations. They will be analyzing and interpreting data. They will be constructing explanations and planning and carrying out investigations. And those skills take time to develop. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Science really needs to be baked right, okay? If we put things too hot in the oven, we tend to burn our meals. So let's make sure that we're doing the best we can so that the time spent is worth their while. Next slide, please. Okay, our AP electives and our advanced topics and physics electives are designed to fulfill and inspire, but they're also very much in line with what we expect, not just for the College Board, but also for our next-gen science standards. But the most important thing about this I can emphasize is choose wisely. These courses are designed to fulfill and fuel a child's passion, but they need to be strategic. So for engineering students, advanced topics and physics honors is absolutely a course you should consider. Chemical engineering, you're going to take AP chemistry and then consider advanced topics and physics honors as one of the final courses you might take in your high school career. Same thing for AP environmental science. We want to definitely train and prepare our advocates for environmental stewardship, climate change, decision-making, government. These are all important skills that go into a well-rounded and ready student to grapple with the challenges of a successful life. Next slide, please. Okay, the course electives and the prerequisites for these electives are designed to challenge, encourage, and strengthen. They are well-designed classes, steeped in STEM. So the physics of astronomy, genetics, human anatomy, and physiology are designed to enhance and often are taken in concurrent experiences with those students who want to major in science, in a particular science. So again, talk to our school counselors, have your child talk with their teachers. They very often will teach one or more of these electives in addition to the course they're currently taking, or actually I should say teaching your child. Always reach out to me. I'd be happy to have an engaging conversation with you. Next slide, please. Science in the summer. This year, we are offering marine science, and very much like Mrs. Bina explained in her summer math program, for students who are truly passionate about science, they're going to take as many science courses and avail themselves of the rich experiences as they can. And that way they could explain to someone if they're applying for a college admission for, marine science in particular, or any science in general, being able to talk about how I invested my time to do this right is the best way to approach it. And just like the math program, they will meet beginning July 8th to August 2nd. For 2.5 credits, and they will be taught from 8:30 until 11:30 every day. Attendance is critically important. Field studies are incorporated into this experience, so students will be able to really get their hands involved in the work, and our teachers are very excited to bring this course online, as am I. Next slide, please. We're now going to be going on to world languages. Dr. Ashley Warren, I thank you very much for your time. You could always reach out with questions. I enjoy an engaging phone call and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Stack. Well, hi, folks. My name is Ashley Warren, and I am the very proud supervisor of our World Languages and Dual Language Immersion program. And I'm here to give you a little overview of our World Language program at the high school level. So our World Language program has been recognized as a model world language program by the New Jersey Department of Education. Our teachers are really, really proud of the program that we've built. If you've been with us for a long time in WWP, you know that we start in 2nd grade. We start sowing those language seeds really early, and we love working with our language learners in the high school level. Our World Language program offers 4 language choices in middle school and high school: French, German, Mandarin Chinese, and Spanish. We offer a sequential study of all 4 languages that can lead to advanced placement or AP language and culture courses. In Spanish, we also offer advanced placement Spanish literature and culture. Someone asked in the chat if French AP literature and culture was available. Unfortunately, that's not actually a course run by the College Board. The only literature and culture course is for Spanish, and we offer it. We're proud to offer it. 10 credits of a world language are required for high school graduation. And some folks asked in the chat too, but you're right. Most colleges are looking for 3 or 4 years of continuous language study. And so absolutely, we encourage you to take world language all 4 years if possible, though only 10 credits, 2 years is required for graduation. Since 2022, over 500 WWP students have earned the prestigious Seal of Biliteracy by the New Jersey Department of Education. The seal appears on students' transcripts and certifies that students have reached intermediate proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. It's something that we're exceptionally proud of, that our students learn a language in school and grow to become so proficient that they're able to obtain a certificate when they go to college or they go into the workforce, when they go to apply for that summer counselor job, or they're going to volunteer somewhere. They get to say, I have intermediate proficiency. I have a piece of paper that tells you how fluent I am in the language that I've learned. So it's really something we're quite proud of in our district. And that's available senior year, as per the New Jersey Department of Education. If I were to talk to you about all the courses we offer, I would be real excited because I'm so proud of our courses, but we have like over 40 courses because we have a sequential study in French, German, Spanish, and Mandarin Chinese. So the absolute best way to understand what your child should take next is to read the program of studies and to see what courses are recommended, see what the prerequisites are. And as Mrs. Bean shared, as some of the other supervisors have said, the person who knows your child's best, their speaking ability, their reading ability, their writing ability, it's their current teacher. And so that's a great place to start, is contacting their teacher. Of course, I also would love to talk to you about your child's progress and what course they should take. So you can feel free to reach out to me. But your child's teacher can help you understand where your child is in terms of their proficiency and what would be the next course in the sequence that would be best for your child. So reach out to me with any questions. Danke, merci, che, and gracias.
Okay. Dr. Russell Ray was not able to join us tonight, so I'm just covering his slide, and he was kind enough to put a QR code here. Again, you don't have to scan this now. You're certainly welcome to. This link, or this QR code, will take you to a series of both videos and information pages about all of the courses that are available that fit the requirement for the 21st century career and technical education. So I encourage you to take a look at those. There could be courses that you know nothing about, and there's some really engaging little videos, snippets that the students themselves are interviewed about their experience. So it would be, it is worth your while to take a look at those and get some more information. Of course, there are also program and course descriptions in the program of studies. Okay, and I will pass this off to Ms. Creveling for English.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Creveling. I'm the Language Arts Supervisor for grades 6 to 12. And I'll just talk briefly about the sequence of the courses that we offer. So if we head over to the next slide. So the scope and sequence for our language arts classes is pretty direct, and you can read a little bit more about the course descriptions and the trajectories for entrance into the courses that we have listed here in the program of studies booklet. But after 9th grade with the multi-level language arts courses, students have the opportunity in 10th grade to either select college prep or honors. And then once they get to 11th or 12th grade, students can either select to, in 11th grade typically, students could select to enter into advanced placement language, and or in 12th grade to then enter into AP Lit. And so when we think about our language arts curriculum, our program really aims to inspire students to think critically about the world around them and their role in it. And so to that end, our units are set up thematically, where the course has a primary class text. And then that theme is sort of bolstered through a variety of auxiliary readings, including nonfiction articles, poems, short stories, song lyrics, and multimedia such as art, documentary, film, etc. In addition to the reading that students do, students will also experience, several iterations of going through the writing process. And once we get to the high school level, we see the writing focus a little bit more on analytical writing, argumentative writing, and synthesis writing, with the exception of 11th grade when students will prepare for their college essay. And so again, I think in looking at, the overall purpose of the sequence, as I mentioned earlier, is our goal is really for our students to get a better understanding of the world around them, so they can contribute positively to their communities and ultimately affect change. So I think some of the questions that we typically see are questions around, am I a good candidate for an advanced placement class in English language arts? And so I think, again, as we've heard a number of our supervisors say on this presentation tonight, is, the best person to answer that question is your child. And I think the reason to go into an advanced placement class in the English language arts would be either because you feel really passionate about English language arts, you really love to read, you're passionate about writing, you're passionate about literature, and or if it's an area where you really want to push yourself. But I think that comes with the caveat that if you want to push yourself in this subject area, to recognize that there is a significant amount of work that comes with that. You know, if we want to get better at something, we have to be willing to put in that work. You know, if I want to go to the gym and I want to get in shape, you know, I have to be willing to go and I have to be willing to put in the time, and there are going to be some growing pains there. So if you have a child who is interested or who's you know, trying to determine whether or not to take an AP class, I think it's just really important that they ask themselves, are reading and writing and literature and analysis, is that something I'm really passionate about? Is it something that I really love? Or is it something that I want to get better at, that I'm willing to put in the time to get better at, to do this work? Then in regards to thinking about the elective, so our journalism elective is a multi-level course. Again, really inspires students to consider, analyze, and seek to improve the world that they see around them. So whether that's their school, their neighborhood, their community, their country, or the world. Beginning students in journalism focus on reading and writing about news, sports, and the arts, with an entire unit devoted to the expression of personal opinion on a wide variety of topics that students get to pick. Once we get up to the intermediate and the advanced stages, students continue to hone their reporting and writing skills while also producing a website in class and contributing to the school newspaper. Additionally, the editorial board of the Nightly News, which is High School North's paper, and the Pirate's Eye, which is High School South's school paper, they produce about 8 issues a year, with the work coming mainly from the Journalism Club, which is an extracurricular after school activity. So that work is supported with the journalism class, but we do see that also as an extracurricular task that happens outside of school. So again, I think I just go back, Ms. Davinson just stated, you know, it's really important to think about what are the things that bring us joy in life. So those are just the two things that I would leave you with. What are the things that bring your child joy, and what are the things that they are willing to put in the work to get better at? Thank you. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to reach out to me. And now I believe we're going to pass it over to Dr. Cindy Assini, who is our supervisor of social studies.
Good evening. What brings me joy is students learning how to make the world a better place, and that's what we're trying to do in social studies. So the core of social studies classes involves students looking at sources, primary sources from history, sources about the world today, and making those connections so that no matter what field they go into, they can be informed voters, they can be engaged in their community, and they can interact with people from diverse cultures. So on the next slide, I go over the general requirements for social studies. As Ms. Medley mentioned earlier in the presentation, it is required that students take 1 year of world history and 2 years of United States history. There have been some questions in the chat about what counts. So typically our students in grade 9 take either world history honors or world history college prep, and that will be in the same classroom in a multi-level setting. Then typically our 10th grade students take American Studies 1, either college prep or honors, and that is followed by our 11th graders taking either American Studies 2 college prep, American Studies 2 honors, or Advanced Placement United States History, which is a survey course that prepares students to take the AP exam in United States history. So those are the options for required courses. I put one of the books that we read in some of our required courses, just as one example of a source where we're trying to bring some current events into the classroom and help students make connections between history and the world today. So on the next slide, I have the typical pathway that I described. We do have a very popular elective program in social studies. Electives like AP Psychology and Microeconomics are extremely popular. Microeconomics also meets the financial literacy requirement, so a lot of students take that course for that particular requirement. I wanted to just take a moment to talk about option two. Option two is a concern, as you've heard from a number of different people tonight. And I want to point out, particularly in American Studies, one of the reasons why our passing rate for that course is so low. So the only American Studies courses that are available, especially at the honors level, that we've found that meet the NCAA requirements for option two and all of the fine print, they do the entirety of American history, so over 400 years, in 10 or 11 weeks in the summer. And our courses at WWP split US history up, as required by the New Jersey state standards, over a period of 2 years. So it's the equivalent of trying to take half an option two class for a full year. So in particular, I wanted to caution people about the idea of taking American Studies, either one or two, as a option two course. Again, it's even more condensed than a typical course for option two because of the 2-year requirement for US history and the lack of providers that teach only half of US history in option two course. On the next slide, I list the plentiful electives in the department. So you can see that we have a number of college prep and honors electives, and we also have a number of AP electives. One recent addition is AP African American Studies, which isn't listed on here, but you will find it in the program of studies. We're excited about the possibility of your child earning college credit through taking the course and then earning a high score on the exam. And the teachers work with students to try to help them access that rigorous content. That being said, there is no rush for students to take AP courses, and the most important factors in selecting an AP course are whether a child is really interested in the topic and whether their teacher from the previous year and their extracurricular activity schedule, whether all of those are lining up to look like this is a good fit for the child. So we really want students to take classes that they're excited to take, that they feel confident moving into that level of challenge. And if you have any questions, the best person to reach out to, again, is your child's teacher. I'm happy to speak with you as well if you have questions about the different curricula for the elective courses. They're all on the website, and descriptions can be found in the program of studies. I am going to thank you very much for your time to learn about social studies tonight and pass the ball to Mr. Cooper to talk about our English language learning program.
Thanks, Cindy. So our English language learning program is designed to help students acquire English proficiency. If your child is already in the English language learning program, you'll be familiar with the structure. Students would take a 2-period high-intensity ELL class, either ELL 1, parts A and B, or 2, 3, 4. It's all based on students' language proficiency. And so we would use assessment data to appropriately place a student into level 1, 2, 3, or 4. If your student is already in, for instance, number 2, they would advance to number 3 for the subsequent year. If there's any kind of scheduling difficulties with that, we can talk with a guidance counselor. That's a 2-period-a-day course, and it fulfills the language arts and world language graduation requirements. Students are also able to take their social studies, science, and math classes with English language learning support. And so if your student is currently in 9th grade, they're likely taking world history. And if they are taking that with English language learning support, we'll have another teacher in the classroom, their ELL teacher to provide support and modify materials so that it's at the appropriate language proficiency. The next course in the sequence would be American Studies, and we do provide support in American Studies 1 and American Studies 2. Students will also have support in science classes. And then finally, during a student study hall, we also have an ELL tutorial, and that's a chance for students to have support to complete homework, to meet with teachers, to work on skills, to develop greater proficiency. If you have any questions for what's the appropriate place for your child, certainly please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Carl Cooper, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thanks for coming out tonight.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Santoro, and I am the Supervisor of Fine and Performing Arts, and I am going to briefly go through the course offerings in the 4 content areas that make up our department. West Windsor-Plainsboro is one of the few districts in the state that offers all 4 of the arts areas, so that's something that we all can be very proud of. So if we go to the next slide, I believe we start with the music department. So if you have a student who is currently in our music department, some of these courses will look familiar to you. So I have them grouped, the bullet points are grouped here by the kind of the type of music course that we have. So the first 3 you see here on the slide, concert band, symphonic band, and wind ensemble, are the 3 options for students who are in our band program. If your child is in 9th grade now and they are in band, they're in the concert band. Next year, they will have an opportunity through audition to be placed in either symphonic band or wind ensemble. There is an honors option for symphonic band, and wind ensemble is honors credit by default. In the strings side of things, if your student is in orchestra, they are either in string ensemble, symphony orchestra, or philharmonic orchestra. And it's the same structure. All 9th graders are in string ensemble. And then in the spring, they'll take an audition to be placed into either symphony orchestra or philharmonic. And again, there is an option for honors or college prep with the symphony orchestra, and the philharmonic gets honors by default. And it's the same structure on the choral side of things. So 9th graders are in the chorale, and then they are placed in either concert choir or chamber choir in grades 10 through 12. On the right-hand side of the slide are the music courses we offer that are not tied to a performance ensemble. So we have 3 levels of music technology for next year, 1, 2, and 3. The 3rd level is honors. I forgot to put that on the slide here, but if you have a student who's in Music Tech 1, they can move on to Music Tech 2, and obviously can go on to Music Tech 3 after that. And we also offer 2 levels of music theory. So that wraps it up for the music department. We will move on to the next slide, which I believe is art. And again, I grouped the bullet points here just to sort of help you wrap your head around the type of visual art that we have offered in terms of medium. So most students in 9th grade start in Art Foundation, which is a survey course that covers just about everything you see on the screen here in an introductory level. If a student wants to stay in the 2D drawing and painting track, we have 2 levels of drawing and painting. And if they like 3D art more than drawing and painting, they can move to sculpture and ceramics, and there's 2 levels of that. If your child likes making art on the computer, we have 2 levels of computer art and design. And if your student likes taking photographs, we have 2 levels of photography. These are not, they're not tracked. You can move around. You can take a year of drawing and painting. You can try a year of sculpture and ceramics. You can try a year of computer art and design. There's no sequence that you have to stick to here. And all of these courses can lead a student to AP Art, AP Studio Art. So any combination of these will get you there eventually, or there's a portfolio review process to get there if the skill set and artistic thinking is of that level. There's also more information about these art courses that the counselors have. We have a nice graphic version of it that I can send you if you reach out to me. The only other course I haven't mentioned yet is on the right-hand side of the slide here, and that's AP Art History. So if your child likes art, but also likes history and likes to learn about how art has evolved over hundreds of years, that's a really great course to consider as well. So that's everything for the art department. We'll move on to the next slide, which is our newest department, the dance department. So this is the 2nd year currently that we've had a dance program at both high schools. You can see in this picture here, one of the 2 dance studios that we have built, one at each high school. They are wonderful facilities with everything you need to be a dancer, professional level equipment and floor. And we will have 3 levels of dance next year, dance 1, 2, and 3. Options for college prep and honors, as you can see on the screen here. I get asked a lot from parents and students about what course a student would take who has a lot of dance experience outside of school. We have tons of kids in our community who dance outside of school. We are implementing a portfolio audition process for next year. So if your child has been dancing for several years outside of school and wants to be considered for dance 2 or maybe even dance 3, we will have a process for that. We're still developing the exact details like this week and next week, but there's plenty of time for that to take place. The first step, if you're interested, would be to fill out the course eligibility request form, and your counselors can help with that. The last department for me is our theater department. We have 2 levels of theater arts 1. This is a great opportunity. It's open to all students. You may have a child who's in one of these courses already, but if not, these are great to consider. I think while they're great for everyone, I think they're particularly appealing for students who have done the middle school plays or musicals, or have done the high school musicals in any of the years that your kid has been in the high school. They're also really great for just developing confidence and public speaking skills. So if your child is someone who isn't particularly comfortable standing up in front of a group of people or a classroom of classmates and speaking and doing things like that, the skills developed here can really help with those concerns as well. So that's all of the arts offerings. If you have any questions about any of this, I'm always available. Email is the best way to reach me, and I look forward to talking with some of you. Have a great night.
Okay, I think this is also me. We're back to some QR codes here. So other courses that are available, again, we have the QR code for business. This is the same as before. Lots of good videos and information about these courses available through the QR code or in the program of studies. So I encourage you to take a look at those. Same with computer science. So we have the offerings up here. Again, more information, prerequisites, which we always recommend. Certainly when you're seeing any of these, some of our supervisors were able to talk through like what needs to be taken. And again, I always say, go back to the program of studies. It's a pretty dense document, and definitely something to go through if you're a 9th grade parent on here tonight, 9th grade student, and you know you want to take one of the advanced courses, take a look in that program of studies, make sure you're following what the prerequisites are so that you can be prepared to take that course. Also, we have some engineering classes, very exciting. And I did see several questions specifically about robotics engineering in the Q&A. And along with any other questions we can't get to tonight, if there are, especially our repeated questions from tonight's presentation, I will work with the supervisors on kind of an FAQ document that we can get sent out or put on our website so that you could reference that. We won't have time to get to everything tonight, but there definitely are some repeats. And I just wanted to say that now while I have the floor before we even get into the Q&A portion, but really know that we will continue to work with you. This is not a one-time only. And specifically, there were a lot of questions, more than I think any of us were really anticipating, about health PE and also getting involved in athletics and extracurriculars. And so both of our athletic directors have night events. So they're used to working at night every night. And so we let them go and be at the basketball game. So we won't be able to get to everyone's questions on that tonight, but we will produce an FAQ document to share with you on the website. So family and consumer science, another department of high interest classes, very fun, engaging. We always say high school is a time to try something. You never know. One of my favorite stories to tell about a culinary arts student was the student came in thinking, I need to go into engineering. I like science. My family wants me to go into a science. I'm skilled at math and science, really liked chemistry a lot, and ended up taking, kind of by force because it was a requirement to meet that 21st century learning, took a culinary arts class and ended up, the student I'm referencing is probably actually in his early 30s at this point. It's just quite a while ago. Ended up becoming a food scientist and worked in like flavors and scents. And so absolutely is a scientist, but got the idea for going into food science from having taken an elective course that he was convinced was going to be the worst experience of his life while he was in high school. So don't neglect or rule out any courses because you think it's not going to be something you like, or because you think it doesn't look good on your transcript. So colleges and post-secondary programs know what our graduation requirements are, and high school is a time to try something. So that's low risk. So I would encourage you to do that. Same thing, we've got our media classes. Again, QR code. Give you a second on this slide, but you can do some writing. Our TV production students, I'll just give a shout out. We had our TV production students work on videos to kind of get the 8th grade students excited about high school. And so if you're interested in those, they are embedded in the student presentations, which are available on the Program of Studies website. Just go to the Class of 2028 slides and you can actually watch the video embedded in there. This kids did a great job with producing the videos, a lot of hard work, and the students were super excited to see them the other day. Okay, so I'm going to let Mr. Riley take this away with talk about the school counseling department a little bit.
Hi, everyone. So I'm here to talk a little bit about what we're doing in between all the scheduling and really everything else that we talk about during the year. I know that on the high school level, you don't have your kids coming home every day and saying, oh, the school was great today. This is what I did. We did this, this, and this, or I met with my school counselor, or we did a cool group today. At least if your kids are like mine, you're not getting all of the specifics. So we wanted to make you aware of some of the things that we're doing with the kids throughout the school year. First of all, we do a lot of work with the transition from 8th to 9th grade. We recognize that this is a lot of upheaval for kids. There are great challenges academically, and more important than the academics, or just as important as the academics, is the social adjustment from grades 8 to 9. So we spend time with the students during the spring of their 8th grade year, and then at the end of the summer during high school orientation, and September of their freshman year, talking about that transition work. And it actually continues throughout the entire year. Kids, our 9th graders, work with our peer leaders as well as our counselors at different points throughout the school year to make sure that they're adjusting well academically and getting involved extracurricularly. For sophomores, we really start to work with them around this time of year as they reach the halfway point of high school on Naviance and starting to not doing so much post-secondary planning, but really starting to focus in on what they might be interested in beyond high school. So what type of electives are they really enjoying? What do they like to do outside of school? And we like to start to get them thinking about where their skills intersect with their interests. And of course, as we get into 11th and 12th grade, we start to focus in a lot more about post-secondary planning, which generally that is an area of interest for 90 to 95% of our students. So post-secondary planning and what that's going to look like for most students. For some students, we are doing vocational technical programs to prepare them for advanced certifications in the world of work immediately after high school. And for a lot of kids, we're talking about 2- and 4-year college planning as well. So we just met with juniors and parents of juniors in the month of January. We're going to be meeting with juniors, obviously, to do scheduling for senior year, which is very important. And then again, after the scheduling process, we'll be speaking with juniors again. Seniors, if you're an 11th grader, or if you're the parent of an 11th grader, this summer and fall are going to be busy in terms of post-secondary applications and applying to colleges. So we're going to be doing a lot of work with the juniors at the end of this year into fall of senior year when it comes to really hands-on planning for college admissions and how to process all of that paperwork and meet all of the questions that go along with that. A lot of that planning in those meetings are individual, as everybody's journey varies a little bit. But we want you to know as parents that your students have an open door. Their counselors have an open door to them on a daily basis. A lot of students will come down and see us during their study halls, and we're also available during their lunch period every day. The kids are very good about reaching out to us as counselors and just letting us know that they need to come by and drop in and to see us. Sometimes we'll just chat with them via Google Meet, but we are available to them as resources throughout the school day as well. If you have additional questions about what we're doing or how you can support in a particular part of the process, you can certainly reach out to your son or daughter's high school counselor at any time.
Moving into frequently asked questions. So get a chance to meet the counselors here. I'm going to stop sharing, if that's okay, so I can so everybody can see you all.
There we go. Okay, I'll start then, right? You good, Jess?
Yes. And just introduce I know we have your names here, but just introduce yourself and maybe which school you're with, and maybe your key code too, just so and this is only a representation of all of our counselors, so don't panic if you don't hear your last name or your counselor's name. So just This is the grade 10 through 12 webinar team.
Exactly. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here tonight. My name is Michelle Walsh, and I'm the lead counselor at High School South. And our caseloads vary slightly from year to year, but for the most part, I'm sort of like C to E, sometimes C to F, but sort of that range. So I see there's a ton of questions tonight, and prior to tonight, we sort of developed a frequently asked questions, because some of the questions that we see in the Q&A, especially the more general ones, are ones that we get on a regular basis. And I know the supervisors probably answered a lot of your questions as well, and we're going to try to answer some of the remaining. But I also want to remind you that we meet with every single one of your students during the scheduling process. So some of the questions in that Q&A were kind of specific, and some were just general about tracks and what do we take next, and what are the prerequisites, and so forth. Give your scheduling process some thought and have your student come to us with those questions. We've also posted a lot of things in Google Classroom and through Naviance, course planners, all the electives that meet the various requirements. There's so many documents in Classroom and resources in the Google Classroom, and even posted around the school that will help them through this process. So rest easy. It looked like a ton of questions, but I think a lot of your questions hopefully get answered, or definitely will be answered within our individual meetings that are happening over the next several weeks. So that's that. One of the things is how can parents view their course requests? As you heard earlier, if you remember, the Genesis request portal will be open February 7th around 3 p.m. and you will be able to go in and enter requests in. We started meeting with juniors today, actually. And even though their requests weren't in, we were able to talk to them about what they wanted. And please know that they have until March 22nd to change their mind. When you go into Genesis, you may see, and your students see, some of the courses that might have rolled over. The courses that roll over are just a kind of an automatic rollover to the next sequence, with no regard to eligibility or whether it's a good idea or whether your child's interested in it. It just, if there was a next level, it's sort of automatically rolled over. And then we have the conversations like, oh yes, it rolled over to, the history, honors American history, but you don't seem to be enjoying history, but you seem to be enjoying this. Maybe we don't take honors American history, or maybe you don't want to take a fourth year of a world language, or whatever the case may be. Those are just rolled over automatically without regard. And so our conversations are really important to do that. So as of February 7th, you can put the request in there. If we've met with your student already, though, please know that we won't necessarily know those changes are in there, those request changes are in there. So if we meet with your student either today, tomorrow, or the 7th during the day, and that would only be 11th graders, probably, if you want to change anything at any point in time, you have to come see the counselor. You can't just change it in Genesis and assume that that's going to happen. It has to be changed through the counselor. Okay, so that is important. And then just another thing I wanted to clarify, there were a lot of questions about making appointments with counselors and so forth. The South counselors use Google Calendar links, and those are posted also in our classroom. They're in our scheduling document. They're in QR codes around our office and throughout the building. So hopefully it's pretty clear how they can reach us, but I just wanted you to know that we use the Google Calendar links and not the You Can Book Me links. Okay, I think that answers the first question. Dan is next, I believe.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Maida, and I'm one of the high school counselors at High School North. So one question that we see come up a lot with scheduling is how much rigor is appropriate, and how do I know if I'm ready to take the next leap into honors and AP coursework? So I always say the first step, right, is to look at what you're eligible for, because you can't, for example, be failing world history and then expect to jump up to American Studies 1 honors, or vice versa with if you're in AS1 honors and you're not performing as well as you hope to, maybe you're kind of along that D to C range, maybe A push wouldn't be the best bet. So really looking at the program of studies prior to scheduling with your counselor, but also just knowing what the prereqs and eligibility is beforehand, before you meet, would definitely be beneficial and siphon out some classes. The next important piece would really be get your teacher's perspective and having a conversation with them. It's great that I get to have that meeting with my students, but of course, I feel that the teachers see them, first and foremost in the classroom, so that they would have a better idea of being able to give some advice as to if they can perform well at the next level after CP, such as honors or AP. So taking the time to sit down with your teacher and asking, do you feel that I'm ready? Or do you feel that I'm good right where I am? I think it's definitely a beneficial conversation to have. Along with myself, speaking with your counselor is very important and the only way for your course selection. But also seeing how it can impact your post-secondary plans and outside extracurriculars, because the last thing us counselors want to do is overload a schedule for you to where you feel like you have to not do your clubs or to quit, say, the lacrosse team, right? We never want you to have to make a choice between an AP class and a sport or activity that you enjoy. As important as academics are, right, for the college process, your extracurriculars is just as important, because if everyone's applying to school, good grades and high end classes, right, what's going to set you apart? So you want to be able to stick with, your clubs and activities that you enjoy, along with creating a schedule that fits the needs to you exactly. So if you have any other questions regarding that, feel free to ask your counselor when you're into your one-on-one meetings, or ask your teachers as well. And without further ado, I'll pass it along to Mrs. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Maida. Hi, everybody. I am Teresa Riley. I'm a counselor at High School North. I have the very beginning of the alphabet. So like Ms. Walsh said, we fluctuate a little bit, but I'm somewhere in between the A's, B's, and some of the C's. And if any of you are on the call that are mine, hi, everybody. This is one of my favorite times of year, because it gives us an opportunity to meet with each of our students individually and really get to have these really good conversations, learn a little bit more about the students, about what they're thinking about doing after graduation, where their interests are. So I really like these next several weeks. We started at North with our juniors today. And some of the conversations that were coming up is the difference between high school graduation requirements and what our college is looking for. So yes, we're a very competitive school district. In a couple of our content areas, we require more credits than the state of New Jersey does, which is great. But in content areas like science, like in math, like in world language, that's been mentioned a few times tonight, a lot of colleges are looking for even more than what we require for graduation. So case in point, a couple of my conversations today surrounded world language. I really push my juniors, I think we all do, to take that third year of a world language if they're doing well in it. But then the conversation comes up again as we're preparing for senior year. Do I really have to take it? And, you know, some of the conversations today were great because we focused on really digging into how they're doing in world language and if they're enjoying it and the advantage that it can give them to take a fourth year if they're doing well in their world language and why that is. And I got some of my students to just kind of rethink that. You know, obviously, if they're not enjoying the content area, if they're not doing well in it, we're not gonna encourage that because we want to consider GPAs and just their overall enjoyment of high school and mental health. But we do have a lot of students that will take that fourth year of a science, that will take that fourth year of a math, that will take that fourth year or third year and fourth year of a world language because they're looking ahead and they're focusing on what the colleges are looking for and not just what High School North is looking for in a diploma. So especially for our sophomores and juniors that are on the call tonight, as you're starting to look ahead, as you're starting to plan for your scheduling meeting with your counselor, if you have some schools that you're starting to take a look at, check those schools out and just look to see what they're requiring. You'll see schools say, you know, we require 2 years of world language, but we highly recommend 3 to 4, or we require 3 years of math, but we highly recommend a fourth year. If you're doing well in that, we should probably be taking it. So, but we also want to make sure that you're well balanced and that you're taking classes that you're going to enjoy next year as well. So with that said, I'm going to pass it along to Ms. Carrot.
Thank you, Mrs. Riley. Hi, everyone. Good evening. We're really excited to have you join us here for this important information. My name is Brooke Parrott. I'm a counselor at High School South, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what I've seen to be a big buzzword this evening, especially through the Q&A, and that is AP exams, and more specifically, what you need to know about AP exams. So as High School South's AP coordinator for 19 years, I've got a lot of expertise in this area, but I just want to focus more specifically not on the AP coursework, but on the exams that is tied to that coursework. So at High Schools South and North, we have a large number of AP classes, and they have exams that are offered to correspond with that course enrollment. So as you are thinking about, should my student take an AP exam, if they are currently enrolled in an AP class, they're preparing with their teacher for that exam for the entirety of the school year. So they're starting and they're going to hit the ground running in September on through to test time in May. May is a universal testing date. It is set by the College Board, and it is across the globe that students will test on the same day for the same subject area. So that's not something that's negotiable, but set by College Board. We've heard a lot of stuff in here too about the whole option of self-studying. So this is also something that we see often within West Windsor-Plainsboro, that students will elect not to take an AP exam, but instead to try to study the course content and demonstrate mastery by taking an exam in perhaps a course that we do not offer. So please, 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 much like option 2, self-studying of AP exams is not required. We as counselors don't recommend it. It deters from your time devoted to the courses that you're enrolled in. We talk often with our college admissions representatives. We as counselors spend a ton of time doing that. One of the most meaningful responses that we heard came from the Yale University admissions representative, who, when we asked what her opinion was about students who opt to self-study for AP exams, she said, we wonder what else they could be doing with their time. So if you've heard spoken about tonight, there's so many other things. Ms. Smedley mentioned stuff in summer, opportunities to travel, intern, volunteer, maybe sustain some employment, all of those things so valuable. Get involved, athletics, great opportunities. That self-studying just doesn't need to be a thing. Beginning next year, we're going to have a slight change with those students who do opt to self-study, that if you're interested in taking an exam for a course that we offer at High School North or High School South. So I will use AP Psychology as an example. If you say, I am passionate about AP Psych, first of all, we hope you're enrolled in the class because that is the single best way to learn about that subject matter, not prepping independently. But if you opt to take that exam, you must be enrolled in our course at High School South or High School North in order to sit for that exam in May. So students will need to pay careful attention to that. If they want to take an exam in a course, again, that is offered at High School South or High School North, they will need to be enrolled in that course. So that's something that students should be thinking about as they're looking to plan for their schedules. AP registration, once school begins in September, we get that rolling pretty quickly. It's something that's done online in October to November, and we're happy to walk students through all of that information. But once again, AP exams, really, the goal is to have them tied to a student's course enrollment. So I know there's lots of info there, but as always, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We will certainly help you understand all of that. And with that, I will pass you along to my colleague, Ms. Javik.
Thank you, Ms. Parrott. My name is Christine Javik, and I'm one of the counselors at High School South. My caseloads usually range somewhere from the middle of the L's to the beginning of the P's, so somewhere there in the middle of the alphabet. I just am going to review with you tonight a couple of the important dates for scheduling and level change timelines and things like that. So as you've heard tonight, we've started meeting with our juniors to do their course selection for next year, and students are receiving emails with information about their scheduling windows, how to schedule their appointment, all of that information. So we'll go through all the grades and get everybody scheduled, and March 22nd, which is a Friday, will be the deadline for students to request any course changes to the scheduling that they've done. So if a student has an appointment with their counselor, they come up with their courses, and then they get home and they think about it a little bit and they decide they want to make a change, they can do so up until Friday, March 22nd. They should definitely contact their counselor prior to that if they do want to make any changes to the courses they've selected. And just a note about that, while requests can be put into Genesis, if your student decides to make a change in the selected courses, changing it in Genesis will not make the change. They really need to communicate that desire to make that change with their counselor, not just changing it on Genesis. And again, that deadline is Friday, March 22nd. There will be one more opportunity after that to request course changes or level changes, and that will be from August 1st to August 15th. So during summer break, students can put in requests to change one of their courses, but just a note on this, these requests are subject to availability. So prior to March 22nd, they can put in any change they would like, but once we get into that August change window, that's based on availability. So a student might request an elective change, but the course has to be available in order for a counselor to be able to make that change. And that goes the same for requesting a level change. Those same dates, August 1st to August 15th, if students decide they want to change the level that they scheduled for, they can. But after August 15th, that will be it for requesting schedule changes or level changes. Unlike in previous years, students were able to come in and start the school year and then request a level change after the first few weeks of school. That will not be possible next school year. Those requests must be made in that window of opportunity in August. And I think that is all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Faccini.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Antonella Faccini. I'm one of the school counselors at High School South. And the question I'm going to tackle this evening is it possible to take financial literacy over the summer? And yes, it is possible to take it over the summer. So for those students who decide to fulfill this graduation requirement outside the school year, can choose to take it over the summer. Our summer financial literacy course is taught by our WWP teachers. And because this is a district course, it is not considered an option 2 class. So it can be taken with a summer option 2. Summer students who do successfully complete the course will earn the needed 2.5 credits that fulfill this graduation requirement in this category. And the grade that is earned for the course will appear on the transcript and calculated into the GPA. So it's super important that the course is taken seriously and that the students allocate the appropriate time that is needed to complete it. Also, the class is conducted online. So students will need a computer, they will need access to the internet, and they will be required to log on multiple times each week to make sure that they're keeping up with their coursework and completing assignments in a timely manner. The course does run for 6 weeks, and this year the dates for the course are June 24th to August 5th. So if your student is interested, registration will be available through community education according to grade level starting February 15th. So for more detailed information, please refer to the district website, which outlines lots of important information such as costs and answers to frequently asked questions. And that is all for me. I think Miss Erico is next.
Thank you, Ms. Ficini. Thank you all for attending tonight. I am Megan Erico. I'm a counselor at High School South. And like Ms. Riley said, I have the A's and B's and some C's over at High School South. So Ms. Parrott said a big buzzword was AP, and another buzzword I kept seeing tonight was about option 2. I'm not going to spend too much, time on it, because I know that Ms. Smedley talked about it and all the supervisors did as well. We urge you to really read through the program of studies. There's so much detail on it. Option 2 is found on page 20 of the program of studies. Option 2 is an alternate path to credits. It must be approved by WWP. There is prior authorization. Students will fill out a form, and then it will be approved before you would register with the pre-approved course, which we have a list of those on our website. There is a very hard deadline for option 2. It is between February 1st and April 1st. You can find the option 2 section on our website, which is under the high school counseling tab under counseling. So that'll have the form there for you. And then the program studies on page 20 gives you an overview. We also have courses offered through WWP. I know you heard about our math programs and our summer programs, and they are through Community Ed, just like FinLit, and you can register there. Option 2, kind of like Ms. Ficini said, is not counted in our students' GPA, but the summer courses offered by WWP do count towards our students' GPA. I just want to talk a little bit about colleges and how they view the courses that WWP offers in the summer. That is outside coursework that really is for a student who wants more of a challenge or has a passion for learning beyond the coursework that is offered during the school year. Like discrete math isn't offered, so we're offering it in the summer. It's just another way to show your passion for math or to try something different or to do something that is challenging over the summer as you prepare to head back to school in September. So again, I just urge you to really read all the information about option 2. And again, that final deadline is April 1st. And I am going to pass it over to some words of wisdom from Ms. James.
Thank you so much. Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Kavita James, and I'm a counselor at High School North. I work mostly with last names beginning with the letter S, some R's, and some T's. I'm trying to speak a little bit about some basic tips that might help you with your success in the high school. So, and this is something I would probably say to every student at the high school. Make your journey personal. This journey in high school has to be your own journey of growth. This is just so important. No two students are alike. Everyone has their interests, their likes, dislikes, talents, skills. So I would then recommend finding activities and courses that align to your interests and align to who you are, and not just because, oh, it looks good on my transcript, or my friend is taking it. Not for those reasons. But if you're really, really interested in something, those are the kind of courses and activities you should be involved in. Also, talking a little bit from the college's perspective, they're looking for, I think, as all of us know, looking for something more than grades and a good transcript. They also want students to participate in extracurricular activities. And I know a few other people have talked about that. It is really, really important to participate in activities of which are of your interest. Clubs. I know at High School North, we have about 85 clubs this year, or sports, or colleges even love seeing you giving back to your community. So some kind of community service opportunities. These are all fantastic things to keep in mind. And I would say follow your heart. When you're thinking of courses or any kind of activities, follow your heart and pick courses and activities accordingly. Again, colleges want to see commitment, they want to see consistency, and they want to see continuity. So especially ninth grade students, 10th grade students, if you're thinking of clubs or sports, find those that will be of interest so that you can remain in those clubs for maybe the next 2 to 3 years. And for all these things to happen, I think the one key ingredient I would say would be self-care. As a counselor and as a parent who has had kids in several schools in the district a few years ago, they have graduated and they are working now. I know how important self-care is. So eating well, exercising regularly, sleeping well, and having some time to relax with family and friends. I think this is just so important. And this, I feel, is also connected to the way you perform in school. All of us know, making sleep a priority makes you a happier and healthier person. I also feel part of self-care is taking care of excessive stress. Now, I understand there is some amount of stress, some amount of anxiety is pretty normal. But if you feel you are experiencing extreme stress, then you need to do something about it. Please talk to an adult at home. Please talk to your parents, talk to your counselors, or other trusted adults in your school. Maybe you could consider journaling or maybe meditation. But I just want to let you know, each one of you listening today, we are here for you. We counselors are here for you anytime you need us. So please, when you feel extremely stressed or extremely anxious, please do come and meet with your counselor. Last but not the least, students, please understand, it is important to ask for help when you need it. And also understanding that there is no shame in asking for help if you need it. So please do reach out to your counselors if you have concerns or questions, or you are stressed, or you just need help. And with that, I'd like to pass it on to Mr. Riley.
I'm just here to commend the 420 participants for making it through to the end. I am, it's amazing that you've been able to stick with us for this long, but it just lets us know that these type of programs are worthwhile. Tonight's program for 10th through 12th is something that we've talked about for a few years. And for those of us that are sitting on this call that have been thinking about that, it's great to see that there is such interest, and we look forward to doing this again in the future. So I'm just simply here to say, what comes next. We've really talked about that already. So have conversations with your sons and daughters. Counselors will do the same. You have plenty of time to make final decisions this spring, and then one last chance over the summer. Our program of studies is very comprehensive. You can find that online on the district website. And if the students have any questions throughout the process, we're here to consult with them. But they should also take the opportunity to visit with their current year teachers as well, as current teachers can be great resources in this process. So Ms. Smedley, you want to take us home?
Sure. So thank you again for everyone for coming on. I think that we may have set a new record for webinar best attended in West Windsor-Plainsboro. And as a group of people who are always high achieving, I would just like to thank all of you for attending, our counselors for putting the FAQs together and working on the slideshow. We will follow up with an FAQ document with some of the questions that we were unable to get answered. There were, I want to underline, certainly reach out if our counselors are available, and we're here to partner with you. We look forward to more events where we can have FaceTime with our families. We mentioned it before, we have coffee with the counselor happening where you can come into school. Some of those are virtual, some are in person. So make sure you're looking in the newsletter for that information. And yeah, we look forward to an exciting time. And with that, we wish you a good night. Thank you, everybody. Oh, you can't see my hand in my virtual background. Thanks, everybody.